Good morning. This is Norma Cowie, and once more it's Wednesday's Norma Talks. I'm going to repeat some of the things I've said regarding how we freeze in space and time within ourselves, but I'm going to add something more to it because of a client I had yesterday, actually. It reminded me once more that we are a composite of many lifetimes. So let's just review the basic premise that I came up with a number of years ago. First of all, I'm a reincarnationist. I do past life regressions. I have had past life regression workshops pretty well all around the world, except for South America and South and the African continent. But I've been in lots of other places where I have presented and talked about past lives. I have a very simple technique that I use that was given to me at one time that really makes it easy. It's like a meditation, but it's very workable and very doable. Over those years, I learned the importance of past lives, and I've learned how also the importance of, I'm going to excuse my voice. We have a lot of smoke around here, and the smoke has affected my voice because I was sitting outside reading my book, having a sort of for a couple hours a day, relaxing, thinking, oh, the smoke doesn't bother me, and then wondering why I had this real raspy voice start appearing. So that's why smoke. Sorry about that. For those that watched a Sunday Thought on Sundays, I couldn't figure out what was going on. So I'm hoping to keep it at bay, but we'll see because it is smoky. Can't see the hills around us at all. So anyway, let's get back to the fact of the past lives. What it showed me was the importance also of connecting at the time of death to letting go of your guilt, regret, and the strong emotions that you might have, jealousies you might have, hatreds you might have, etc. So to be able to utilize the light that comes for you at the time of transition so that you can release those and so that you don't have to bring them forward to another time period. Now, of course, many don't do that. Many hold on to them and they have repeated patterns. And sometimes we'll look at, again, I'm going to stay with past life regression, we'll look at how many lives relate to this pattern. And they could be 5, they could be just 2, they may be just 1, but 5, 6, 7, maybe cluster of them. And so you know that the pattern, which you obviously have in this life, because that's why you're relating to them, has been had before. You've gone through the pattern of whatever it is that's bringing up the emotion, that's bringing up the response before. So how come we have these habits is because we've never released them. We haven't got to a place at that moment of death of letting them go, or in the afterlife, we haven't worked at letting those things go, which you can't have the opportunity to do that as well. Now, when we look at what we call, and then I'm sorry, I'm going to jump, I'm a little bit jumpy today, sorry about that. We're going to jump now to a book I wrote called Connecting to the Light, which has my inner child work, where we talk about how we freeze in space and time. How does that work? That works when we have trauma, whether it be physical or emotional, usually physical, I found a lot, but often emotional. Mental trauma, yes, and sometimes all three combined, is that we freeze in that trauma. During the trauma, we make decisions. Many, many years ago, the first time I began running into this, we had a gal that had been raped, and she had split in what I call them splits. We split into 3 parts. As we split into 3 parts, she made 3 different decisions. So she had 3 elements within herself, because our reality is created by the decisions we make. And just putting the the decision for a moment, is that from the time we're conceived, and I have worked right with the conception point, by the way, now that's happened recently. Usually it's from 2 months up, but I actually had one right at the conception point. Now, from the conception on, anytime we experience a feeling, we reach back in our memory banks and we remake the same decision that we made in the past life. That's why the past lives become important, because when was the last time we had it? It was another lifetime. Could be 1300s, it could be 8 that was BC, 8 BC or 880, either way. It sometimes stretches back a long time when we last had that feeling. And our incredibleness, we're able to reach back, remake the same decision. So what we've done is brought all what those decisions are going to create. Now, a client who may have decided that this is a terrible place will end up creating situations in the life that are terrible and wonder why they're stuck. And this is what I find very often when people come to do my transformation work, which is a combination of all these things that I've learned over the years, is that I'm not even going to apologize for coughing, he said, her, because, as I said, we've been smoke bound for days, is that the end result is that we need to clear that past. Now, there's one other element that this is what I really am getting to discuss today. What happens if that part of you that you reach back and you might say, invite or get, doesn't know that it's in prison time? Yesterday, I had a client that did that. It was like I went to work with that aspect of her. I call it an aspect, or you could say part of her. And I suddenly realized, I said to her, do you realize that you're a part of in my client's name? And it was blank. So I went, well, you are a part of this person, and it's 2021. She was stuck in around, well, I'm sure, I can't remember exactly, but I know in other cases where they've been stuck back in other centuries, but it was back in probably maybe early 1900s. So we had to, I have to re-educate them. And then I have to bring them in, and then I have to integrate them into the present and grow them up and to be equal to the age now. Because the programming that is creating the problems in the life come from that. This can be your attitudes to all sorts of things. Now, I'm going to tell you what I always thought was, we actually, as a group at the time, got a big kick out of it. The first time I ran into this was at a workshop I was doing when I was learning a lot of different techniques about different things. A 3-month course, 1 week, every month. And there was a lady there, tall, statuesque, rather large, here I am kind of thing. Well, in the way they were looking at what came up at the time, this is probably 25, even 30 years ago. This again, a woman, remembered being a madam in New Orleans. And she just took over that role, and she was talking about how it was. She knew how it was. She knew how different parts played out and within everything. And then she realized that that part of her was still such a strong part of her personality in certain times, not all the times now. And again, I don't remember how much we knew of bringing forward like an integration. There wasn't a lot of integration in that time. Integration was something that I came to much later than that, but it was the acknowledgement of different aspects of ourselves, for sure. That was part of the program. And and some connection to but there was still separation between dealing with the whole, that you're a whole being and all these aspects of you are very, very much a part of it. But that got, always remember, you tuck things back in your mind, because she played the part, the voice, that whole thing. It was just there. And I began to be aware, as I had more and more of my clients come and, so I might say, hit certain aspects, how important it was to get that life released and become integrated and whole in the present. And often we forget that. We try and do the mental element, analytical element of what that is all about. How does that fit in? What is that all about? And so we understand it as a block, like, oh yeah, this happened. I was in the 1800s. I was a madam of a whorehouse, and now I am here now. Not connecting that decisions have been made in that lifetime of ownership, of being in control, of being aware. And they're not, even though we must have connected that through, this is my perception, we have to connect whatever that life was because of something that occurred in this life. Because there are many, what we call timelines. And as I've explained this before, it's like, think of a hub of a wheel with spokes going out into the different whole wheel. We have different events that come from different timelines on those spokes, but they all come to here, which is you. And you may relate to some of those spokes and you may not. Doesn't mean they don't exist. And so I remember at one time a lady wanted to learn how to play the harp. So we did a regression where she was a harpist. And we brought forward the knowledge of that and integrated in that. And when I spoke with her later, I said, how the harp, she said, it's coming along. It's much easier now. It's like it makes sense. It flows. It doesn't mean that she became a great harpist right away, but it meant, though, it opened up that she was able to understand and work with it. Nothing is just usually instantaneous, but it's about incorporating the talent, incorporating the awareness. We want to be incorporated with our I always call it the highest and best we can do. We want to incorporate the compassion, the awareness, the truth, that beingness of who we are. In order to do that, we can't cut off what isn't. I was explaining to somebody whose soul was involved in this, because the soul had come to earth with great expectation and a curiosity, yes, but great expectation, high expectations. Now, high expectations go up, it means you're going to fall and crash and burn. And that's what happened, because she had quite a lot of brutal lifetimes. And the soul, I had to go in talk to the soul and reassure it and clean, almost like a bruising. You know how you can get a bruise and it's sore, and take the light to let it be introduced to light, because a lot of souls arrive here and don't know this is a loving planet. They don't understand that you need to embrace the love. The love is there, but you're going to embrace it. You got to take it in. You got to allow it to come in and heal and feel at one with the loving force. And so we had to clear that bruise off. We had to take the bruise away for the soul to relax, in order for the client to begin to process and move forward from what she had created in this life, because of what had gone on in other lives, and because the soul wasn't really 100% behind everything, because it really was believing, oh my God, what have I got myself into, because I can't get out, which is true. Very often people cannot leave this planet until they have learned how to deal and cope with all emotionality. So it can be a job, all right. How do you do that? Where do you do that? How do you free yourself? Now, many of my clients have taken some time to be able to do that, but they go on and they begin to create in their lives and work in their lives, and that really satisfies me and my soul for sure. That's like, okay, this is what I've been sent here to do. is to show the way, and why I speak now on this program, to just open up some ideas of how you can proceed to be able to be, because we want to clear I call them blocks that we have in order to be all that we can be. And it's time right now, with so much changes going on, we're not sure what our future as a world will be. So I work at not being political on this channel at all, but it's sometimes it's like history repeating itself on a much larger scale. I have a past life of remember being in Germany, dying in Germany. And so it's like familiar things are happening. And sometimes I just think, okay, we're in a different time, and maybe people will remember, maybe they won't, maybe they'll see what's going on, maybe they won't. But it's like we here in this pinpoint of time have accessibility to many lifetimes, unless you're coming in new. And if you're coming in new, you're probably not even aware of these things. But your reactions are things that you've done before. And if it's a pattern that is not working for you, if it is a pattern that is not making you happy, if it is not giving you comfort, if it is not giving you the way to be able to have pleasure in your life, to enjoy, to be able to set everything aside and go on, because you can be enlightened, you still have stuff to deal with, because life is life. And so I just want you to be aware that there are choices. There are things that you can do to aid clearing out your past, not just in this life, but in life, other lives, maybe future lives, maybe past lives, and even lives on other planets. Don't often get that deep with people, but often when they come in with problems. They're running away, or they're being forced here. When they're forced here, sometimes they come here and they don't know what this planet is about, and they just run into all sorts of problems. Just know that that needs to get rectified, so that you can be peaceful and happy and content and work with your life as it is. And so I think that is what I just need to say today. For those of you that listen through all this, I want to thank you. And I want to thank you for your subscriptions. I want to thank you for your comments. I try to get to them on Sundays. I try to get to them, but that doesn't always work out. I try to get to them and answer them. I also know, I suddenly had a thought the other day. It would be good if you had a topic you'd like me to talk about, to email me through my website, normacowie.com. If you could email me what you would like me to talk about, because, I've got a wide span, but I've been talking for a year, 2 years now, or 2.5 years. So it's really about, do I revisit those, or do you give me new topics to talk about? In the meantime, you have a great day, great week, and I'll see you. I'll have my little Sunday thought on Sunday, and I'll see you next Wednesday. Blessings.